Ross Chastain in the 305 back at it again. We're in Mexico City then. T. Gabo on pole from Oscar Folstad and Revo. Then it's Milrez, Wallace Leclerc, and Daf Sanchez. Then it's P. Sierra, iWorld, Sebo Campo, and David Camino. Cosmos starts 11th, Daniel Boxasarov is 12th, then it's Akari Lopez, Marcus Nelson, Jack Carter, Santino Milan, Anok Yui, Cable, Leo, the two next EV Neos of Michael Novikov and Tommy, and then it's Vashtian Tan. Well, last time out's race in Santiago, Chile saw only 5 drivers finish as 5 lights go on here in Mexico City. Let's see more racing, boys. We go green, and that's a great start from Oscar Folstad. Don't have any Mexicans on the grid anymore, but when we're in Mexico, the atmosphere brings in an entire country to watch. So Folstad up into the lead, Gabo having to defend quite a lot. 3 into the first chicane, that's not going to go too well, and it hasn't. Gabo's in the wall, and that's Sebo Campo getting a 5-second time penalty for pushing someone, it seems, on track. Carter's dropped down to 18th position. You can see that's Gabo's front wing down there. That's the pole sitter dropping from the lead to P3. 17 laps in Mexico. Historically, we don't see everyone finish this race. Novikov, I'm getting a 5-second time penalty for colliding with the back of, it seems to be his own teammate, as we now reach the stadium section with the race leaders on board, with Revo currently down in 2nd position, with Folstad out of the E-Prix. Gabo also out of the race. Flipping is Gabo. What on earth? Leclerc pushing the Virgin out of the way. Camino are getting a little bit of issues there. Milrez losing his front wing. Virtual safety car is currently out there. Revo is leading this race, but there's so much carnage going on out there. Vashtian Tan has made his way up into 15th. Milrez has come in to change his front wing. There's a lot of damage to that front wing. VSC is ending then as Revo comes through that first chicane. He'll probably be the only one to make it through that first chicane cleanly. Leclerc and Iwold are currently heading up a Mercedes 2-3. Don't know how long that's going to last, considering how much carnage we see coming through that first chicane. It's a lot of weaving. And into the wall goes Jack Carter, losing his front wing, dropping to 17th. Fastest first sector going to Daniel Bogdasarov, currently in 9th place. Oscar Folstad once again in a good position to try and win a race. He's been edged out of winning a race for the 3rd time in his career, as Revo almost hitting the wall there. That's a lot of weaving for the Season 16 champion, who is out of this race. Revo out. And it's a horrendous amount of weaving these guys do coming through the chicane. It's unthinkable of how they think they're going to keep the car pointing in the right direction. And that's the 2nd race in a row where the Hyperdrive man will not finish. VSC out there currently. We'll get back to full racing speed quite soon. VSC ending. And we go back racing. We've got the 2 Mercedes men currently holding a 1-2. Carter's into the pits as well. As that's a lot deeper coming through that first chicane for iWorld. As we see on board with Vashtian Tan, as Santino Milan out of the E-Prix. There he is. That's game over for Santino Milan, it seems, today. Unfortunate for him. iWorld currently closing in. I don't think we'll ever see anyone use attack mode in this race, considering how much, pure chaos this race, and even the race in Santiago, they both exude pure chaos. Add into that Marina Bay, and you have the 3 tracks where you are guaranteed crashes all the time. You can say something similar about Monaco, but I'm not too sure. As out of the race has gone P. Sierra. Neither. That's his Nissan there. Someone else off at that turn. That's Sebastian Ocampo. That's Ocampo who also went off there. He hasn't received front wing damage or anything major like that, but VSC is still out there. Oh my goodness. Well, virtual safety car still out there. Jack Carter now coming through that part of the track. You can take a look at his escapades on the mini-map. Even with the horrendous bit crush quality that YouTube gives my videos due to my tablet hating CapCut for whatever reason. Yeah, Miura is actually closing into the back of the pack quite nicely. So if you do pit early, we've seen with Ocampo in Manila last season, if you pit early, it's not actually a deal breaker for your race. You can still roundabout close up to the back of the pack, as Carter setting a fastest first sector of anyone as we come through the stadium section. A lot of weaving from Leclerc, who's out of this race. Leclerc out. Lucky not to collect his own teammate. Lot of weaving and also out of the race. David Camino. Airborne, I think I'll say, for that collision. Yeah, expect another crash compilation from our editors pretty soon. Oh wait, I'm our editors. UK Ball coming into the pits as well. These are scheduled pit stops. It's odd to say scheduled pit stops in a race like this, but Iwold, for the second time this season, leads a race. When he leads a race, it seems like he's going to win a race, but considering this is Mexico, I would not count on it. I would not count on it. We go back racing. And out already, Bastian Tan! Last time out race winner in Santiago is out. And this was a race that you could have expected a charge with the field from, just due to the fact that this is more of an endurance race than a pure race of strategy and overtaking. This is endurance racing at this point. So we've got the VSC out there with 14 drivers still in this race with 5 laps done. If this is all in proportion, we will not reach lap 12. We will not reach lap 12 as it stands. Iworld coming through the final few turns. Marcus Nelson coming into the stadium section in his App Sportsline car. He'll be fine to make it through. Same with the top 5. That's a massive shunt from Enoch Huey. Tommy spinning there. What? What is happening down there? Tommy pushing Cosmos out of the way, it seems. As Jack Carter, last man to come through this part of the track under VSC conditions. Michael Novikov coming in and to change his tires. Tommy coming in to change his tires as well. They're double stacking down at Next EV Neo. Interesting to see a double stack occur. But we go back racing as Marcus Nelson is actually leading this race. Looks like, oh, that's out. His teammate, Milra, is out of this race. I was going to mention that Iwold has probably come into the pits. He did come into the pits, but I can't talk about that. If Nelson's teammate decides, you know what? I'm going to crash out. So, yeah, Milra out of the race. And Marcus Nelson currently leading it. Down to 12 races. We've lost 10 drivers in 6 laps. We're not going to finish this race, are we? With Marcus Nelson now coming through. A lot of weaving from Nelson. He will keep his car in a straight enough line. Pirouetting into the wall. Losing his entire front wing column as Iworld. And he's been flipped by Cosmos. That was a perfect flip executed by the Mahindra man. We're down to half the grid still in this race. Akari is leading the way from Daf Sanchez and Daniel Bogdasarov as Marcus Nelson coming out of the pits. Carter's in for his second stop. Iwold out of the race. Is it as previously mentioned, but he lost his front wing in its entirety. Rarely see that these days. Bogdasarov closing in on Daf Sanchez. Sanchez holding his car in a straight enough direction to the point where he doesn't crash. Don't see that every day anymore, sadly. Cosmos up into 4th as Nelson gets banged by Ocampo. He's got himself a 10-second time penalty. As here comes Ocampo trying to close in enough. Akari coming through the first that stadium section and is out of the race. Akari Lopez out of the Prix. Daf Sanchez will inherit the race lead. So much weaving going on with the drivers. These guys are not weave masters. These cars are designed to point in either one direction or turn once. That final part of the track, the stadium section, if it was just a straight line with a braking point at the hairpin, it would be so much better than what it is currently, which is this weird W thing, which ends off with a part where it is a literal roulette of trying to finish. Cosmos hits the wall, out goes UK Ball for the second in time in this season, at the very least. Down to 9 runners, guys. We are not finishing this race. We are not finishing this race. And if it sounds like I'm being a little bit insane, subscribe to the channel, 1, and 2. You're probably right. You're probably right. I need to see a psychiatrist or something. VSC is ending. We get back racing. 9 laps to go. We have pretty much the past half race distance. At this point, with Sanchez coming through, that's a lot of weaving from the Sanchez man. He's out of this race. And, collecting Marcus Nelson. Cosmos also out of the E3. What kind of... Jesus did not die for that kind of wreck. This is truly a Halloween scenario for all of these teams and drivers. This is an absolute true nightmare for everyone not named Next TV Neo, because Next TV Neo are currently the only team with both of their drivers still in this race. Might have spoken too soon, because both Next TV Neo's wall riding, losing their front wings, might have spoken a little bit too soon. I don't know about that one. Jack Carter coming through very close to the wall. Once again, you never see that happen too well for any driver. Bogdasarov, and he's going to come across. He's leading this race, if you want to call it that. I would rather call it a demolition derby. Bogdasarov, that's a lot of weaving. Keep it in a straight line. He's still in this race, but he's spun. Ocampo's out of the E3. Novikov is out. That there is Leo, who is now leading this race, but with a 5-second time penalty, we're down to 4 runners. It's been 9 laps. Keep your cars in a straight line, for Christ. Bogdasarov lost his front wing there, so of course he's got to come in. Tommy's in. Leo's changing his tires. So I think we might actually see a compact grid again. Actually, maybe not, considering how long that pit straight is, and the fact that Jack Carter, for the first time in his career, leads an E-Prix. There's no way he wins it, though. It's been an actual wreckfest. So coming through the chicane with Carter, he's still in it. He hadn't hit the wall. He's gonna make his way to the stadium section, a section of the track where we haven't really seen drivers keep their car pointing in the right direction. They've either spun, gone airborne, and lost their front wing, been flipped, or gone through at virtual safety car speeds, aka cheating. Jack Carter then, still riding with him, as that's very deep for Carter, and he's out. Jack Carter out of the E3. Leo with an issue there. Looks like he spun it. Lost the rear end, but he's still in this race. Virtual safety car was 7 to the checkered. I don't think we will see the checkered, though. We should have red flagged this race, but we don't have red flags in this game, so of course we won't red flag races. VSC is ending, and we go back racing on lap 11 of 17. What up, Reddit? Leo currently in P3, only man with the penalty still in this race. Everyone who's going to finish this race, if they do finish this race, is going to be on the podium. That's Bogdasarov, Tommy, and Leo. These are going to be massive points for Tommy, who scored last time out and is probably going to score this time out too, which is one way to score points in this championship, only scoring when most of the grid is not going to finish. We've lost 19 drivers from this race. Bogdasarov, he doesn't want to be the 20th. He will not be the 20th. He's lost his front wing. Tommy spun it. Leo's had an issue. All three drivers in hell. Bogdasarov's going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Looks like we're having a bullfight over second then, with Tommy just about getting himself out of there now. Bogdasarov driving down the pit lane, so Leo will inherit the race lead as we go full speed racing once again. There is no way we actually finish this race, right? There is no way we finish this race. Leo in that Aurelio Pinnacle number 30 car, it kind of looks like an 80 on the timing screens. Almost the wall. How did he get it stopped? How are these guys getting their car stopped? This is unimaginable. As we're on board with Leo in the Aurelio Pinnacle number 30. Very black car. It's a bit like Batman, but it's also like the Grim Reaper, that car. Hopefully they can reap what they're sowing right now. A potential podium finish, a potential P2. It's a P1 on the road, but of course 5-second time penalty for Leo. So they gotta reap what they've sown. And Leo into the wall, slamming hard. Spin for Tommy as out has gone Leo. Virtual safety car, we're down to 2 runners. Just make it end. Please. Make it end. My God. Tommy comes into the pits. You know how it is. Bogdasarov takes the lead of whatever this is. Because this certainly ain't no race. This is not an E-Prix in Mexico. This is the worst racing we've ever seen. We've lost 20 drivers in this E-Prix. 20 of the 22 drivers who've started this race will not finish. We have seen a race with no finishes before in this championship. Shockingly enough, it was Mexico. Do you think we'll see that again? Probably. So, on board of Bogdasarov then, 4 laps to go. My God. Very deep, into the wall. Still on board. He's lost quite a bit of downforce and has got a lot of damage. Tommy coming through, looking behind. Is there damage to that Virgin? No, there's no actual, physical damage. He's been told to keep going with 3 to go. Fastest third sector going to Tommy. Ravo's still got the fastest lap of the E-Prix. If you want to call this an E-Prix, I'd call this a disgrace to the family name. So almost the wall there for Bogdasarov and for Tommy. The question is, can Tommy now close in? Alright. 2 laps. 2 seconds separating Bogdasarov and Tommy with 3 laps to go. I predicted that we wouldn't make it to the last lap of the E-Prix. And as it would stand, we probably won't make it to the end of this race. Tommy will probably be the last man and to be running in this race. As Bogdasarov coming through very deep. Very out of this race for Bogdasarov. Same for Tommy. They're both out of this race. No finishes. No finishes. So as you can see, nobody finished this piece of shit race. Same standings as it was before. It's going to be the same in the constructors. So for round 6, next time out in Tokyo, I hope to see you guys there next time, because we will not see another fucking Wreckfest.